Welcome back to more 20 minutes of cutscenes. Enter. The first order of business is intelligence sharing and deducting reasonings based on the available information. My team and I were attacked in the hallway connected to the conference hall. This guy was, I'll be straight with you guys, super strong. I would have stabbed my ground if only torn and the dingus were here. By horn, are you referring to the junior on our team? But he's really, really strong. He's so strong that, I've got it. There was a time when, what was it again? I got it paced straight, I think. Anywho, I got some bread to snack on later, and in that split second, my back was turned. Hornet that Urs has swapped it off my plate. So pissed, I punched him right in his solar plexus to get him to cough it up, and he just went oof and then swallowed my bread anyways. Like, does that make any sense to you guys? Okay, I guess that makes him strong. Although Ezra's anecdote wasn't very illuminating, none of us bothered to ask for further clarifications, as that would only get in the way of an objective measure of Hornet's strength. Was to let her with the letter punches in the solar plexus as well. So what is this Hornet up to now? Ugh. Ismail peeked around as though she was expecting him to pop out of a hiding spot in the broadcast sector. Oh, you're gonna lose your mind when you hear this. Listen up. He's... Not yet, Ezra. Up to is the secret. It's like classified stuff. Ezra trailed off awkwardly. I tend to analyze my enemies with observations and deductions. I try to identify their unique colors, the kind of weapons they use, their methodologies, whether they enjoy the slaughter or avoid it, their attitude towards battle, all of it. Once I have that, I can get an idea of when to begin my counterattack, or what kind of weaknesses of theirs I can exploit. And that's how I usually open my path forward. But Moses inhaled sharply, as though she missed her smoking pipe, which was nowhere to be seen at this moment. Was chaotic. I couldn't not identify a single pattern in his behavior. He is an empty shell. His acts of killing lacks any emotional touch. And that's why you couldn't get a... that is why you couldn't get a read on him? Oh. On the other hand, you appear so clearly to me. You seem so anxious to cut something down. Is that correct? You are broken, shattered, but every shard is keen and transparent, like a hail of small blades. A glass-like sword of many edges, so fragile, with the futile wish to sever away what cannot be severed. What is it that you grasp so tightly? Was that scared hand of yours? A scarred hand of yours? What are you peeking into? Hey, don't talk to our team leader like. Just as Ezra was about to give her a stern warning, Holheim stopped and changed the subject. To add to that, Morton here and I went in front of the library when it was in front of the laboratory when it occurred. At first, it began with the sound of rushing wind, something large and heavy cleaving through the air, and the kind of sound one could never came to expect from the department like ours, so full of delicate machinery and containment units. It happened right before my eyes. Something snapped. The employee who was walking only a step ahead of me in half. The first thing that came to my mind was this. Did an abnormality breach containment? But if such a case, the alarm should have gone off. So far, this tracks with Miss Alyssa tells us. She said that there wasn't any warnings at all for the attack. Once I got a better look at what it was, I realized it wasn't an abnormality, brachiolum, or a distortion. It was a massive scabbard. It looked, when I looked towards where the scabbard came from, there was a man who presumably threw the weapon, reading a book like he was on a stroll. And the book was Matthias. He must have been reading his book of vengeance. First the thumb, now the middle. I stared at him, still processing what just happened. Then, when Boss grabbed my arm and started running, I couldn't look back. I heard something. I heard screaming from dozens of people, but you seem to be fond of recounting unnecessary details. Only after arriving here at the broadcast sector did I remember that Alyssa was still out there. When one's life's at risk, the brain instinctively reduces the processing of information to the bare minimum required to survival. It's only natural. But I was the last person who handled that research proposal, boss. Well, I should have been at the conference hall too with us. Hey, listen, if you want to look back and nitpick at every little thing you did in the past, we're gonna be here forever. I know it might sound a bit of an empty platitude, but focus on what we can do right now. What we're going to do going forward, okay? You'll have time for regrets later. I suppose so. You did save my boss once, so I guess it's only right that I should have more faith in you people than anything else. I would like to clarify that the saving was part of the experiment, but given the urgency, I will forgo a more detailed explanation. Looks like we're all caught up. Done? Good. Now, share what we know. Moves began laying out the situation with the expertise befitting of the leader of the LCD. Today, intruders attacked the LCD department situation in the basement of the HQ. We lost control of the entire LCD facility. Save for their current location, every sector has been neutralized by a single pair of intruders. Any survivors who's conscious enough to communicate properly is already here. Then the attack. After the attack, every containment unit was forcefully unlocked, adding more fuel to the fire. We are beset by foes on every side. In search of a foothold is a difficult one indeed. Darn. If only these surveillance cameras weren't busted, I'd love to be able to track their whereabouts. As I have repeated myself today, many times today, we are attempting to bring them back to operational status. You speak of restoring a sabotaged power grid like it's a simple task. It's as simple as wiping one's glasses. More than anything, we need these two pieces of information at present. One, who are these attackers? And two, what objective brought them to the LC? The man we encountered seemed to have a one-track mind squarely set on killing as ordered. But there are far too many threads that point towards motives more complex than infiltrate the facility and slaughter its employees with abandon. Mo's deduction was aligned with Otis. If the assailant's goal was nothing more than slaughter, the first order of action should have been unlocking the containment units. The intruders are, yes. I have enough evidence, at least a general idea of whom they may be. Do elaborate. There's the thumb nurse father who's stalling the red gaze. Then the members of the middle who attacked the researchers, and we've seen evidence of the ring's involvement too, giving the presence of quartz mannequins. At least 2 more fingers are involved in this attack. The thumb, Vile, the Vile Cur, the Kumo clan sirs are here. And yet, it's quite odd, Lady Moss. The fingers do not hesitate. Are those fingers not hostile against one another? Those elk have no business coming with even a sleeve breath of each other, say, when compelled to attend assemblies such as the finger bow bell, where there's often quarrel to no end. Correct, considering this is from the opposite perspective, they must be something enough importance for the offices of each fingers to put aside their differences and work hand in hand. Ryoshu spiders, or the nurse fathers of the House of Spiders. That's what they're called. And we've just snared ourselves into the web they spun. The fingers rarely often cross the lines they draw between each other. This strange entanglement certainly is a deviation. Nurse fathers. Was it? It seems like a terribly meaningful title to me. Then it can be presumed that the House of Spider is a place to raise something, or someone to have a high rank in office of each finger gather in one place to nurture someone. One might think that it makes sense, and indeed it doesn't. But it hardly makes sense. Indeed, it doesn't. But what if their purpose itself is just as outrageous? That would paradoxically explain how they came together. Yoshu. Is it? You seem to be inextricably tied to that place.
뭘 원, I.
I don't know. I don't know what that means. She says, I don't know what you want. No need. I can understand her abbreviations. I need them. But I can't tell you what I know because it's all broken. The pieces, the memories attached to it. I can see how they're shattered. You don't have to recall everything. All I need to know is what that outrageous purpose is. What is it? Me. To forge me into a blade that cuts through all. But I left that place behind. Yoshu, can you tell us anything more? Shame. But that's all I have. Clock. I don't remember much more than that. Even if I did, it's not an easy thing to speak of. Yoshu let out a protracted sigh, just as Nose did earlier. The long exhalation of someone who certainly craves a puff of smoke. It betrays the aloof she projected. Come to think of it, Ryosha hasn't been smoking at all since we got here, or maybe since the truck? Clock. Like you said, and like you've been seeing, my mind's a mess. I have questions of my own, but the answers elude me. But maybe the pieces can be put together using your hints, like the one you gave me earlier. So, we have to solve this together, this puzzle, or this game of escape room. Yoshu muttered placidly. If it is you, the House of Spider Wands, then I must ask you to entertain this question. Why did they bother attacking the HQ? Oh. As Mo began her explanation, Ryosha looked in her direction with mild amusement. When you said you left the House of Spiders, I presume you meant escaped it. Members of different fingers are the kind of people to fraternize even on a good day, but this alliance of a sort that they call the House of Spiders have persisted even after your departure. At a glance, it may only appear they were simply waiting for your return. But given their behavior today, it doesn't strike me as a particularly patient group as a whole. In other words, I find it suspicious that they decide to act now. If they were desperate, they would have made the move long ago. Which leads me to believe they were waiting for the right time. Wherever is their motive, Ryoshu, Whether it is getting you back or doing something else, the fact remains that they have chosen this particular moment to act. Nurse Father of the House of Spires. We've encountered she made way for us so that Ryoshu could come to the HQ facility. She harbored such intense and complicated feeling for Ryoshu, but I don't think it got anything. I don't think it got any sense of that she's trying to kill or take Ryoshu with her. But she said that the Nurse Fathers were waiting for me here. Clearly, they're here to see me, weirdo detective. Hey, alright, you. Hey, how's your problem? Be calm, please. It's best that we don't interrupt their conversation. In intense dialogues, they shall find and draw out the answers. Let us not stem this course. It is a fair assumption that the Nurse Father of the House of Spiders have attacked this place to provoke you, however. I can't seem to shake that the thought that they must have a distinct objective. If they were indeed after Ryoshu, and Ryoshu alone, then choosing this specific time and this specific and place hardly seems to serve that purpose. The interval between each of the sinners are different, but once a sinner's turn ends, another's begin. Every single time, without failure. This case has everything to do with Ryoshu, I believe, without a shred of doubt, and it's her turn. Once the sinner relayed my words to Mose, fell into a brief contemplation and muttered a sequence of words. Limbus Company, the mirror, the glass window, the former L Corp, distracted ego, and Pelifin, Chromits, abnormalities, monoliths, and Ryoshu. I can't think of too many things in the LC research facility that could be what the House of Spires is after. By process of elimination, the only reasonable answer that can be deduced is as follows. They're here for the Golden Bergs. So that's how it is. Nose is right. It's become very important for us to look into Ryoshu's past to reach in and see what lies there, but LCB's goal, its journey, and its stories has always been bound to the same terminus, obtaining the Golden Bergs. Hohenheim. Where are the Golden Bergs in this facility located? The manager would like to know where the location of the Golden Bergs. It's the laboratory in this facility. Gaze turned to me. Perhaps he was looking at the clock hands on my head. Very well, then I suppose there's no way around sharing the contents of our presence. Hohenheim's answer sounds more like a prolonged sigh. It was a presentation regarding our progress in the Goldenberg experimentations. And the limited group of individuals with the clearance to access the contents of that presentation does not include members of the LCB. Are we the one risking our necks to collect those bergs? How come we're not allowed to? I'm not the one who decided the scope of our security. Hohenheim, your concern is understandable. The company maintains tight control over any information regarding the Golden Bergs. There's no way to know, at this moment, what the consequences of leaking this information without the company's explicit consent might be. If the worst comes to worse, we may even be subject to a memory wipe seizure. Unbelievable. We're stalled by a red tape at an... I don't know. In circumstances like this, what do you expect from the company practically built on secrecy and suspicion? Anyways, assuming the risk of divulging this information are understood and accepted by all parties present, let me get straight to the point. The Goldenbergs were, we were experimenting with grafting that received berg onto another. Grafting the bergs then was the purpose to combine the bergs to form a singular tree? Nothing slips by a fellow researcher, I suppose. Correct. We are incubating the Golden Berg under a very specific environment to create a sapling. We haven't yet managed to graft them together into a proper tree, no. But that's our horizons in sight. Today was the day we're going to share the success of the experiment with a certain major character and teams within the company. Until this happened. Goldenbergs are at the laboratory. And we have to go to the laboratory before they do and secure the Goldenbergs. But we can't just waltz out on our own. This whole place is crawling with enemies, right? Is there a way to get in touch with HQ right now? Did HQ even receive your support request? We did send a rescue signal to HQ an hour ago, but we have no way of knowing whether it was received. The attack has destroyed all outgoing transmitters earlier. As long as they receive a signal, any signal, it shouldn't be long until they recognize that the LCE is under attack by an overwhelming force. Assuming that the LCA has sent his support units, do we have an estimate on how long it might take for them to arrive? Even if they have to navigate around inescapable passages currently present in the facility, it should be no more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Then they should have been here already. They have either failed to receive the transmission, or the power outage has trapped the reinforcements in the elevators. Yeah, if it weren't for Masada bringing us up to speed, we wouldn't have thought of using the back door to come straight to the facility. If such is the case, then we only need to reboot the power divider in the facility management room. Hey, Mr. Big Brain, if we want to restore this department from a shutdown state, we're going to take out all of the destruction and abnormalities sauntering around, right? In order to perfectly restore the facility, yes. This place has been designed to be quarantined for every other department if a single abnormality escaped to its hallways. No sitting around and putting our heads together then? If you guys scared of some abnormalities, should leave it to us. We kick their butts. Nobody said they're scared. I'm just saying we could benefit from practicing a bit of caution. It would be wisest to prioritize restoring the powers of the facility. It seems these attackers are making effective use of the dark. I see. Number 4. Executive Manager, I am of the opinion we must split our forces in order to facilitate our operation given the urgency of the situation. Situation looks rather pressing for us to sit here and waste time debating what to tackle first. Once I nodded in agreement, I just quickly took control of the situation. With some men, we prepare two things: reconnaissance and extraction. Extraction? Don't you mean escape? Assuming that the LCA support team will arrive, it would serve us best to move in tandem with them to improve our chances of launching a joint attack with numerical advantage over our enemies. Also, we have to stay mobile. We held this position too long, our enemies will methodically kill and comb through the entire facility until they find what they're looking for. The more we remain stationary, the more likely we are to encounter them. And that only elevates the risk of total obliteration of the forehead. Makes sense. Besides, the others here aren't like us. They get killed, it's over for them. Another thing, don't forget, we have to reach the Golden Berg before our enemy does. Whether we end up prioritizing, whichever we end up prioritizing, we won't get anything done by staying held up in here. Very well. Then if we all left this place at the same time, then what should we prioritize? We have many pressing tasks, as you have explained. Goldenberg retrieval, facility power restoration, the facility manager room to restore power, the library are in the same area with the damaged circuitry, and are all located far from each other. We'll divide and conquer. Securing the Golden Berg, storing the power, and suppressing the abnormality to clear the path. For the reinforcements, they're all equally important. We must resolve committedly, and to do so, we must split up into squads based on our expertise. Yeah, alright, we better work as separate units. We work better as separate units anyways. The LCB will be in charge of Goldenberg, as our executive manager here has the ability to detect where they are in proximity to one of them. Oh, it's kind of like a metal detector? How dare you compare a detective matter to... I'll let one slide given the urgency. Anyways, we would like to leave abnormality, distortion, implication, suppression to the LCD. Gotcha. That's totally our bread and butter. How many difficult abnormalities or distortions do you have contained in this facility? Combatants of your power should have no trouble with suppressing most of it, save for two. However, that might pose some trouble. Taking these micro-communicators with you. We use them to communicate between laboratories. While it has limited range, it should be useful enough to rely the suppression tactics for each entity you come across. Perfect. We secured a means of communication. As for restoring power to the facility, I would like to designate task the LC personnel here. I presume you are best acquainted with the layout of the facility out of all of us. A reasonable choice. The layout of the facility is more complicated than it might first appear to you. That is indeed one way to describe it. An abysmal cable management. Please consider it but a representation of the entropic escalation phenomenon. Despite the way it looks, the setup is quite stable. Merton gave a handful of tiny radios to Otis, who distributed them to each of us.
좋아.
Very well.
이걸로
Don't
상황을
forget
계속 공유하도록
to keep
하지.
each other updated.
잊고 싶던 연기 냄새가
The acrid stench of smoke I'd rather leave behind in the past keeps coming back. The smoke war. That was a 30-minute cutscene. No wonder my voice is dying. See you guys then.